Listen carefully. This is not for everyone. If you're still running from pain, this will disturb you. But if you're ready to evolve, stay with me. There is a moment in life when everything changes. Not loudly, not dramatically, but quietly. When you realize something dangerous. Pain is not your enemy. Most people never reach that point. They complain, blame others, distract themselves, and repeat the same cycle. But a few people, a rare kind of individual, they ask a different question. What if pain is here to build me? That was the moment Mr. Alien was born. He understood something most people avoid. The moment you become comfortable with pain, you become unstoppable. Not because life becomes easy, but because you stop breaking. Mr. Alien lived by a simple but powerful philosophy. A king does not export problems. A king solves them. Think about that. Most people export their problems. They blame people. They complain about situations. They transfer frustration to others. But a king transforms problems into solutions. So Mr. Alien made a decision. If pain comes to me, it will not destroy me. It will build me. And he didn't just say it, he lived it. When his appliances broke, he fixed them. When his tricycle failed, he repaired it. When his motorcycle stopped working, he learned how it works and revived it. His phone, his computer, everything around him. He chose to understand instead of complain. That decision alone separated him from the majority. Because most people wait for help, Mr. Alien became the help. He understood something deeper. Pain is energy, and energy cannot be destroyed. It can only be transformed. So every time pain entered his life, he made a choice. Will I transmit this or transform it? Most people transmit pain. They hurt others because they are hurting. They spread frustration because they are frustrated. But Mr. Alien absorbed it. Just like ozone, he absorbed pain instead of radiating it. That is power. He didn't react emotionally, he responded intentionally, and that changed everything. Because reaction is automatic, but response is controlled. That is where mastery begins. He stopped asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and started asking, "What is this teaching me?" That one shift changed his entire life. Because challenges are not punishments, they are instructions, and the universe speaks through them. But only those who listen grow. Mr. Alien didn't just fix machines, he fixed himself. Because he understood the most important truth. The greatest system you will ever repair is your own mind. Your thoughts, your reactions, your discipline, your perspective. Most people are walking around with broken internal systems, and instead of fixing themselves, they project their problems outward. Mr. Alien refused that life. He rebuilt himself step by step, thought by thought, decision by decision. And it wasn't easy. There were moments the pain was heavy, moments giving up felt easier, but he stayed with his philosophy. A king does not export problems. So he stood when it hurt. He learned when it was frustrating. He grew when it was uncomfortable. And slowly, everything changed. Pain became power. Struggle became skill. Problems became opportunities. That is the transformation most people never reach, because it requires responsibility. And responsibility is heavy. But power only comes to those who can carry weight. And when the universe saw he could carry it, it gave him more. Not to break him, but to elevate him. Because he was no longer living just for himself, he became a solution. Every problem he solved made him more valuable. Every pain he absorbed prevented it from spreading. That is leadership. Not position, not titles, but responsibility. And now the question is simple. Are you still exporting your problems? Or are you ready to become the solution? Because if this message reached you, you are not here by accident. Something in you recognizes this truth. You were not created to run from pain. You were created to transform it. This is not for everyone, but if it resonates with you, then you are already changing, already rising, already becoming unstoppable. Comment: I do not export pain. Subscribe for more deep philosophy. But understand this: becoming the solution is not a motivational idea. It is a responsibility. And responsibility will test you. It will stretch you. It will expose every weakness you've been hiding. Because the moment you decide to stop exporting problems, life will give you problems to solve. Not to break you, but to reveal who you really are. Most people want power, but they don't want pressure. They want growth, but they avoid discomfort. They want results, but they reject responsibility. That is why they stay the same. But you, if you are still listening, you are not like most people. You are being prepared. Prepared for a mindset that separates you from the crowd. Prepared for a level of awareness most people will never reach. Because once you truly understand this philosophy, you cannot go back to ignorance. You cannot go back to blaming people. You cannot go back to complaining about life. You see things differently now. You move differently now. You think differently now. Every challenge becomes training. Every failure becomes feedback. Every pain becomes fuel. That is the shift. That is how ordinary people become rare. That is how pressure creates power. And that is how Mr. Alien became who he is. Not by avoiding life, but by facing it completely. Not by escaping problems, but by solving them. Not by spreading pain, but by absorbing it and transforming it. And when you live like that, something changes inside you. You stop fearing life. You stop doubting yourself. You stop waiting for permission, because you realize you are capable of more than you were taught, more than you were told, more than you ever believed. And once you reach that point, there is no limit to your growth, no limit to your impact, no limit to the value you can create, because the world does not reward excuses. The world rewards solutions. So the more problems you solve, the more powerful you become, the more valuable you become, the more unstoppable you become. That is the truth, and deep down, you already know it. That is why this message is not confusing to you. It feels familiar, like something you've always known, but never fully accepted until now. So from this moment, make a decision. Not tomorrow, not next week, now. Decide that pain will no longer control you. Decide that problems will no longer define you. Decide that you will no longer export your struggles to the world. You will transform them. You will learn from them. You will grow through them. And you will use them to become something greater. Because that is what you were built for. Not comfort, not excuses, not weakness, but evolution. So the next time life tests you, don't react. Don't complain. Don't run. Stand, observe, learn, solve, and rise. Because that is the philosophy of Mr. Alien. And if you live by it, you won't just change your life, you will change the lives of others. That is how impact is created. That is how legacy is built. And that is how humanity moves forward. So again, are you ready to become the solution? Or will you go back to being comfortable with excuses? The choice is yours. But understand this clearly: one path keeps you average, the other makes you unstoppable. Comment: I do not export pain. Subscribe, because this journey is only getting deeper.